Get ready to spend the next 2 hours with our three sports-loving ladies, Mia O'Brien, Lauren Brooks, and Taylor Dahl.
This is Helmets and Heels
on 1010XL.
Show me what you got, pretty lady.
Welcome into a Thursday edition of the program. Mia O'Brien still on vacation. She'll return next week, but we did have Jaguars mandatory minicamp day 3. It was, I think, Taylor, a much breezier practice than yesterday, so not quite as hot. And certainly they got some work in. Liam Cohen said after practice yesterday that it would only be about an hour today. They would just do 7-on-7, which they did the 7-on-7, but I thought they worked much more than an hour, probably closer to an hour and a half, and maybe even a little bit more than that. And I feel like that's good because they wanted to work through a few kinks offensively for sure, and now they can go into this dead period, so to speak, with a little momentum. And we got to hear from Trevor Lawrence that obviously he hadn't thrown the football for 4 months. So, there's going to be a little soreness. That's perfectly natural.
Yeah, and I think it's good, too. I think that when you're talking about, you don't want to just cut off a practice because you said something was going to be an hour. And to me, that does, it kind of shows that they do see several things that they still feel like they need to work out. Obviously, you're in the beginning stages of this training camp coming in about a month and a half. But I do think that in that sense, they were probably, once you get in that row and in that flow and that rhythm, you keep going, and that's probably kind of the mindset they had of this is the last day for a little while, so let's get in what we can get in, which I like that because I feel like former regimes would give them a day off today completely.
Absolutely.
And today I think that they're seeing that there's a lot of newness here still. There's a lot of things to figure out and now you have this long break before camp hits. And once camp hits, you're going, it's before you know it, it's the first game, it's week 1. And so I do think that it's important to do that. But on the Trevor thing, and that's what the majority of everybody around here was saying was it's been a long time since he's thrown when you're not in that habit of consistently throwing, and how much were they having him throw and all of those type of things. So that soreness is there. And I guess that's something that hopefully Trevor the next 6 weeks focuses on too, because you don't want him to get to camp and then have soreness right away again.
Yeah, Trevor Lawrence said post-practice that his plans are to get with Travis Hunter, and I'm assuming other guys too, but he was asked about Travis Hunter, and he specifically said, our plan is to get together multiple times over the summer. Like I said, I would assume that also that's De'Ami Brown, that's also Brian Thomas Jr., Parker Washington, and the likes of all
not
those
just him and
types of
Travis.
guys. Not just the two of them, but certainly De'Ami and Travis Hunter are the newest to this offense, and so that work is important. I think Trevor's eyes kind of lit up when Hayes asked him about the rookie running backs, and he was like, Bashal Tutin can fly. He can fly. And I think that speaks to a larger point about this offense as a whole. And there are now legitimate speed demons, not just at wide receiver, but running back too. We've focused so much on how fast certainly Brian Thomas Jr., Travis Hunter, and De'Ami Brown are, but also Bashal Tutin. And I think Tank Bigsby, every time I'm out there, I'm impressed with when Tank Bigsby gets a little bit of open space, he flies too. Yeah. And so I don't know if he is any faster, if it just looks like that, because again, there's no pads right now, but I've been impressed with that speed too. And so it feels like this offense then can take it to the next level. And of course, that part of it comes back to Trevor on the timing of throws. And that's why I was glad to hear him say he's going to spend some time with the receivers this off season, or this off period, I should say. The offseason's pretty much over. Now we have the dead period, and then the season pretty much starts with training camp. And I think that timing, that chemistry is so important. And we kind of take it for granted with some of the older quarterbacks. Like, I don't know that a guy like Patrick Mahomes has to work on that, even though he always has an influx of receivers, that, an open door all the time, or a revolving door, I should say, with the receivers. It still feels like Mahomes just has that intuitively. Yeah. And I think that's something that over the last 4 seasons, Trevor at times has had, but at times certainly I think that was missing. And so I'm glad to hear that he's going to do that. And hopefully this offensive scheme as a whole too makes it a lot easier.
Simplifies it a little bit. Yeah. And that was something that I took out of yesterday's, and that's what I said on the show, was I could tell his timing felt off to me in several moments that I was watching yesterday. And so if I was seeing it in one day, there was probably other instances throughout camp that it was there. That's to be expected with you have a year 2 guy that you really didn't get to spend a whole lot of time with last year. And when it was, now you're talking about it's been 4 or 5 months since you've really even thrown to him in the first place. And then you have a new guy in Brown, and then you have a rookie in Travis Hunter. And there's a lot of just kind of pieces. And Brenton Strange, even. We talk about the year before, there wasn't a whole lot of Brenton Strange in that offense either. And then last year, you get kind of a little more than a half a season with Trevor in them too. But it's still, you're pretty much talking about a very condensed time with your entire offense outside of Travis Etienne, probably. And so I do think that you're expected for it to be a little bit of a delay, and you've changed mechanics, so that's going to delay things a little bit too. So I do like that the plan is to put in extra work for that, because that's something we've talked about a lot when it talks about the physical attributes. I mean, Trevor Lawrence looks like somebody created a quarterback in a lab and was like, here is your NFL quarterback, and it hasn't transferred that way completely to the NFL. And some of that I think is just the mental side of it, and you've mentioned that a lot, of just situational football and that side of the football IQ side of things, maybe not always there for him on that level. And the timing, those little intricate things are what's going to take him to that next level that a lot of people want to see. Yeah,
and not to bury lead, by the way, Brian Thomas Jr. was out there today, did all the drills, participated in the 7-on-7. So that was excellent news after that scare that we had him. And we knew that he was cleared to come back. Yesterday, he could have come back. Liam Cohen told us that after practice. But still, you like to see it with your own eyes. And especially me being a huge Brian Thomas Jr. supporter, as soon as I got there, I walked immediately to where he was standing and wanted to watch every single thing that he did. And he looked fine. I did tell Mike Dempsey that there was one pass from Trevor to Brian Thomas Jr. that he didn't catch, and there were no defenders. I feel like I've never seen that before.
Yeah.
And it happens. It's not that big of a deal. But I wondered, is the shoulder bothering him just a little bit? But then when it got to 7-on-7s, he caught every pass that went his way. Yeah. So I think he looked really good. And look, I think Brian Thomas Jr. is still the number one wide receiver. Like, there's so much attention that goes on Travis Hunter, and I understand why, but he still is the number one guy. It just will be interesting to see how many more targets De'Ami Brown gets than the third receiver would have gotten last year. And I think when it comes to the offense too, Liam Cohen talked about this, Trevor Lawrence had to learn even just calling the plays properly in the huddle. This is a whole new offense. So just those play calls that are completely different from the past two regimes, right? He has to learn that. And now he's getting more comfortable with that. And he doesn't have a lot of plays where he can just hand the ball off. Like, he has to think all the way through it. Yeah. And so getting him more comfortable and acclimated, that's what this has been all about, these phases, right? The first couple phases of the offseason, because that is going to be much more sped up when the bullets are flying when the regular season starts.
Yeah, it's funny going back to yesterday when the Brian Thomas Jr. kind of scare happened. The amount of people, even with all the hype around Travis Hunter and what people expect from him, the amount of people that were commenting on my stuff, or that I would just see comments on Twitter in general saying, no, he's our savior, we can't lose BTJ. That's how highly regarded he is. Even when you trade up, give a bunch of capital away, and draft up to get a two-way player that's supposed to be really good on both sides of the ball, their attention's still on BTJ and saying you can't lose him. And that's how important I think that people truly believe he is to this offense. And so I think part of it is just last year. The way that you break out from last year is obviously not many rookies do that often. But I also think just the way his personality, people kind of talk about it being it's a lot more tame than Travis Hunter. But I think sometimes people love that because it makes you feel like he's just football. And that's what you feel out of Brian Thomas Jr. And so yesterday when that happened, the amount of people that everyone was like, no, like, this is the last person we can lose right now.
Yeah, that was my thought process as he was down what looked like in pain for a brief period of time. Certainly glad he's okay. Getting to see Travis Hunter play on both sides today was really cool. And it's not like they made some announcement or anything. Like yesterday, they had JP Shadrick and Jeff Loggeman telling the fans what was happening. Today, obviously, they don't have that. And so we're watching the backups kind of go through everything. And then all of a sudden you look up and Travis Hunter's out there on defense. And it was like,
did you see him changing his jersey?
I did not.
Oh, okay.
I just looked up. So for me, the way that he moves is just different than other guys on this team. And I mean, just like running, walking, obviously the dancing and stuff too, but just his fluidity is something that immediately catches my eye. And so I was standing by myself and I just looked up and I was like, does everyone else realize? Because a lot of people were having conversations and whatnot. I was like, does everyone else realize what's happening? And then I could tell that a couple people had tweeted it out. And so I was like, okay, yeah, everyone is now locked into
aware
this.
Of what,
but I just looked up and I was like, number 12 on defense, that cat is seriously smooth. And so I love watching him play corner. I've said I think he's going to be a better corner than receiver in this league. I would love for him to be excellent at both.
Yeah.
And certainly they're putting the work in for him to be good at both. But watching him, I feel like that's his natural position. And I'm excited to see what that looks like. Obviously, I want to see him catch touchdowns too. But I'm almost more excited to see him at corner because I feel so good about the other Jags receivers that are out there on the field. But yeah, Travis Hunter, whether he's in teal on offense, whether he's in white playing defense, he is different. And Liam Cohen also said this about him. He's one of the guys that they had some goals before the offseason of muscle mass increase. And he's one of the guys that increased the most muscles. And he said especially muscle mass and especially upper body wise. So that's also good to hear and to see.
Yeah, because that was when a lot of people, the first look at him showing up here, like he's small, like he's very little.
He's thin.
Yeah, very thin. And that is something that I think either way, you see smaller players and it happens and they can still be successful, especially with the athleticism that Travis Hunter has on both sides of the ball. But I do think you're going up against some really big receivers in this league. And then on the other side, you're going up against now some linebackers that drop into coverage and some big corners. Yes. And so there's a lot of things that you kind of have to start to prepare for. So that is something that I like to hear because there were several people even in this building in those first couple rookie mini camps that were like, but Matt Hayes being one of them, like he's really little, and that scares me a little bit because that's injuries come from that, and you don't want that to happen, especially somebody who's expecting to play the amount of snaps that he's going to be expected to play.
Well, when you see Travis Hunter next to Brian Thomas Jr. too, like there's a size difference there, and that's to be expected because again, one has already been in the league for a year, and he was just a bigger guy in general. But yeah, and maybe that's why I come up with I think he's a better corner because I don't think you have to be quite as stout to be a really good corner. Obviously, the speed is important, and you want some physicality for sure. But I feel like offensively, you have to be a little bit bigger of a guy in order to not just, I mean, your hands are your hands. Like, that's not going to change no matter how much weight you have. But certainly to get off, press man corners, to be able to not get injured when you get hit over the middle, things like that. Like, that to me is something that your size does matter. And so, yeah, we'll see. I'm excited. I think I've said this 1,000 times. I'm excited to see what he ends up becoming in this league.
Me too.
And I feel like we're not going to have to wait. Originally, I thought we won't know what Travis Hunter is going to look like as a corner other than the situational times until maybe next season. Or maybe they ramp it up later in the season, but I didn't think they were going to actually ask him to do both early on. After today's practice and Liam Cohen saying, yes, that's our plan, now I'm like, could he be starting at corner in the third game if they like what they see? And they're going to be careful. I'm not saying he's going to play 100% of snaps both ways by any means. He didn't even at Colorado, though he played a lot of snaps. But I do wonder if they like what they see at corner, does that get ramped up sooner than I thought?
I think they'd want to, but I still think it'll be a gradual kind of incline because you don't want to risk that. You don't want to risk losing Travis Hunter in week 3 because you think you need to start him at the corner position. And I think, like I said yesterday, game by game, it's going to be different. So not saying there may be some games that first drive he's out there because of they've looked at certain stats and this team has scored on their first drive and 3 straight games, and so you need Travis out there to be able to stop that. And then you'll have the teams that come out and they're like, no, they've been 3 and out on their first 3 games. You don't need to risk Travis. So I think it's going to be so situational for every single game, every single down. They're going to have to be strategic with it because I just don't think there's any way he can do everything right at once in the beginning of his NFL career.
And when I say starting at corner, just like a running back starting, it doesn't really matter who starts. It matters who gets the most snaps, right? And so that's where I wonder, even if he's not necessarily the first guy out there
on the field,
opposite Tyson Campbell, if he ends up getting more snaps than what I thought, that will be fascinating. Anton Harrison, certainly a guy that we talked about yesterday, a guy that a lot of eyes are, I think, going to be on. And I think, like we said and played the clip yesterday from Liam Cohen, I think they're expecting more of him.
Yeah.
And I think the next 6 weeks are really important for him to get into the shape that they thought that he would be in to this point and not to come into training camp and need to get into shape. And so it's going to be really interesting when the pads come on, what that rotation along the offensive line looks like. We, of course, can't report that. And so no, I'm not going to, but I do think he is in a serious battle to start at right tackle.
Yeah, and it's obviously important, and it's something that is a massive part of any offense, but a Liam Cohen offense. We saw what the Tampa Bay Bucks, how they thrived, and a lot of it was their offensive line. So I do think that in the run game and everything that Baker was able to do. So I do think it's fascinating. And you go back to a couple years ago in 2023, and Anton was this guy where you, as a rookie, everyone was like, wow, like you really hit on this pick. And then last year it felt really disappointing. And so I'm sure that these coaches and Gladstone and Baselli's obviously watched all of this kind of play through, so he knows a little bit better and maybe has had these conversations with them. But you can watch the film of 2 different years and almost looks like 2 different players. So which player do you have? Was it a rookie thing where he got a little lucky? And I asked actually Tom McManus one day, because I heard him talking on Jaguars Today. And I was like, we always talk about quarterbacks, for example, who their first year, we always say, well, once you have film on them, things can change. And I asked Tom McManus, is that similar to an offensive lineman? Like, once you see film on an offensive lineman, can people game plan against some of their weaks and straightnesses? And Tom McManus says, heck yes, like hands down. And he said, I don't know if that's what happened to Anton, if maybe that first year was just rookie and they didn't really feel like they had to prepare for him. And so he kind of got to take advantage of some situations. And then the next year, people had film on him and they started figuring out how to get around him and how to, kind of take him off his balance and things like that. And so we will see this year. But I think a large part of that is him getting in the shape that they feel like he needs to be in.
Yeah, and it's crazy because his rookie season, he played with a shoulder injury.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, you played injured and you played better.
Yeah, how are you better? And we also found out last year, Foye Oluokun played with a sports hernia, and yet he played at a high level. So it is crazy what ends up happening as far as those injuries are concerned. And some guys play fine through them, and certainly other guys don't. Taylor Dahl, I know the answer to this question, but for the listening audience, do you like French fries?
I love French fries.
Well, I love
potatoes. Give me potatoes.
I have good news for you. We have French fries in the building from Firehouse Subs. That's right. Firehouse Subs now has French fries. That is very exciting. Not only do they have hot, delicious subs, they also have crispy French fries. So we are going to try those.
I'm truly excited.
Yeah,
because I feel like
watch some U.S. Open golf, eat some French fries. It's going to be a good day.
Love it. One of the biggest downfalls, and I love sandwiches, I'm a sub person, is it's always usually just the side is chips everywhere you go. So when Stacy told us that Firehouse had French fries, I was like, heck, this is a dream for me. I love this.
Dream come true. Absolutely. Yeah. So we will fill you in on how those are on the other side. And by the way, Firehouse has over 30 locations in Jacksonville. So exciting. You are listening to Helmets and Heels on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Lap times, tire pressure, and track bar adjustments.
Oh, he's going to get loose.
Sunday in Mexico City.
Bubba Wallace slides up in the outside lane.
NASCAR is tuned up by Maxie's Mechanics on Jacksonville's NASCAR station, 1010XL.
Hello, I'm Joe Cordell, founder of Cordell & Cordell. Divorce is complicated, especially when your small business or professional practice is involved. At Cordell & Cordell, we understand that these assets raise unique valuation and allocation issues. For 35 years, we've helped doctors, lawyers, and small business owners navigate divorce with confidence. Call us at Cordell & Cordell. Let me tell you, I understand on a personal level, your business is much more than a job. It's your legacy.
Jacksonville, Florida. Joseph Cordell, licensed in Missouri and Illinois. CordellCordell.com.
Chicken Salad Chick is now open in Ortega Park on Roosevelt Boulevard. Fresh, scratch-made chicken salad in 12 mouth-watering flavors. Get to Ortega Park and enjoy Chicken Salad Chick, the best chicken salad in Jacksonville.
Call 904-500-COOL. Ideal Conditions.
Ideal Conditions Heating and Air Conditioning is your go-to for all AC repairs and replacements. Just gas your AC. For exceptional service, call 904-500-COOL or visit idealconditionsjacks.com to schedule your estimate today.
Call 904-500-COOL.
Honk if you see us. Call for service.
Ideal Conditions.
Idealconditionsjacks.com.
Get the real story from people who know the beautiful game best. The Coaches Show, presented by Sporting Jacks with Cole Pepper, Sporting Jacks head of soccer Mark Warburton, and Sporting Jacks women's coach Stacey Ballum. Tuesday nights at 6
on 1010 a.m.
Checkmate Coatings. Your floor's missing piece. Yo, Jacksonville, Hickens Hype. Checkmate Coatings crushes it with floors I'd put in my own pad.
I'm Brendan with Checkmate Coatings. We coat it all. Garages, pool decks, driveways, and patios. Be the envy of your neighbors.
Rush to checkmatecoatings.com. Checkmate Coatings, your floor's missing piece. Checkmate Coatings, your floor's missing piece.
have seen our bright green GFL trucks and containers throughout the greater Jacksonville area. We're an industry leader in solid waste and would love the opportunity to earn your business. We're committed to customer service, reliability, and have an unwavering focus on safety. Whether commercial or construction, let us haul your waste away. Call 904-760-5880 to get a quote today from GFL, Green for Life.
Hey, Hicken here, or just call me Dreamfinders Danny. For a limited time to ring in the new year, Dreamfinders Homes is offering an amazing 4.99% fixed interest rate. Now's your chance to lock down that rate and get in the game. You heard me right. It's 4.99 fixed interest rate on select move-in ready homes. Visit dreamfindershomes.com for sales event information and get in the game. Interest rate available on select move-in ready homes. Restrictions and limitations apply. Go to dreamfindershomes.com for more details.
Are you looking for a place to outfit your truck or van? It's Caitlyn Truck Accessories. For 105 years and 4 generations, Caitlyn is the name you can count on. This is Keith Caitlyn, and we know trucks and vans too. From Lear toppers, ladder racks, van shelving, strobe lighting, roll and lock bed covers, and everything in between. If you want quality products and great customer service, there's only one name. It's Caitlyn.
Who can you count on? Count on Caitlyn.
For 105 years, you can count on Caitlyn.
Lauren Brooks here. I've trusted Big Chief Tire with my car for years. For 4 generations, Big Chief Tire has been keeping Jacks rolling with integrity, hard work, and always putting customers first. When I take my car in, I know I'm getting more than just great service. I'm getting treated like family. So if your car needs tires, brakes, or AC work, head to Big Chief. Visit WeKeepJacksRollin.com or call 904-932-0950 to schedule your appointment today.
Are you struggling with hair loss? At IHRS, we understand because we've been there too. We're dedicated to finding the best solution tailored just for you.
My hair looks great. It was thinning, and IHRS restored my hair.
It's now fuller, it's thicker, voluminous. It's made me feel great.
With the latest technology and FDA-approved laser therapy, PRP, and non-surgical hair addition, we offer guaranteed solutions for men and women.
With over 35 years of experience, IHRS found a hair restoration for us, and we can find one for you.
For me.
For me.
And me too.
Visit hairforme.com or call 904-777-IHRS. Get a free microscopic analysis and get to the root of your problem. This $395 analysis is yours for free. Call 904-777-4477 now.
It's graduation season, a time to celebrate the end of an era and the beginning of a whole new story. At Diamonds Direct, we believe moments like these deserve to be remembered beautifully. Honor your graduate with a timeless gift, a birthstone ring, a classic pendant, diamond studs, or an heirloom piece they'll treasure forever. No pressure, all sparkle, and expert guidance every step of the way. Diamonds Direct, your love, our passion.
Power bill just went up again? Why keep paying more? Clay Solar can wipe that electric bill out. Right now, they'll cover your first 6 months' payments. Visit claysolar.com today to schedule your free consultation. claysolar.com.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Everybody starving there just before we went to commercial break because we were talking all about Firehouse Subs' new French fries, and we can confirm
Delicious.
They are delicious. They are more like the wedge fries. And Taylor, I feel like you and I are kind of foodies, and I've always thought you can't be a foodie if you don't cook, and I don't cook, so I think of myself more as a foodie by proxy since Brian does all the cooking.
Yeah.
But I know Delicious Barbecue and the Carolina Gold sub that we were just munching on. It's
good.
Absolutely delicious, in addition, of course, to those French fries. And they have a great hero sauce to go along with the fries, too. If you like to dip your fries.
Yeah, that was, I want to keep eating it right now. It's very good. I am already a big Firehouse Subs fan because obviously if you go in and they like steam everything almost, so everything's just like warm and
delicious.
Yeah, it's so delicious. And so, yeah, a little addition. It has like slaw on it. There's turkey. I don't know, a few different meats on there. I'll have to go and see exactly what's on there. But then there's a slaw and cheese too, and the fries are great. And yeah, then there's like this hero sauce to go along with the fries. Absolutely delicious.
So good. They brought 2 versions of the smokin' triple stack. And so there's beef brisket, ham, and turkey.
Oh, yeah, that's the one I got. So good.
Melted cheddar cheese, mayonnaise, and tangy slaw. I'm a big coleslaw fan, but I don't like sweet coleslaw. I like tangy coleslaw. So well done,
Like a
Firehouse.
vinegary one?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Give me all the vinegar. Thank you so much to them. And we will continue to talk Jaguars here. Let's let you hear from the head coach, Liam Cohen. And we just talked about Travis Hunter playing both offense and defense at practice today. Let's hear what Liam thought about him switching mid-practice.
Yeah, I think so. That's definitely what we have to build towards for training camp. And then obviously in season, knowing that during practice, he's going to have to do both. And so, he wants to do it. It's not as if it's something where he can't handle. He wants to go and do that more. He wants more, and that's a good thing. But ultimately, we have to also protect him from himself at times as well and make sure we get out of this phase healthy. But that is absolutely the plan moving forward.
I can assure you, standing a few feet from Liam Cohen, he did not sound odd. That was just technical stuff.
He wasn't talking like a robot.
No, he did not speak in that staccato type of fashion. But yeah, of course, they have to limit some of the things that Travis Hunter wants to do. He wants to do everything, and that's cool. And because we've never seen it in the NFL, watching how they're going to go about it. And again, today was the first time we've been able to see him switch mid-practice. He may have done that before. We haven't been able to see every single practice. So we're not sure. We were able to see some of the OTAs and certainly all of this mandatory minicamp. But that, to me, is one of the biggest storylines for this team.
For sure.
Some people would have it number 1.
Yeah.
I think Trevor Lawrence's growth might be number 1, and Travis Hunter playing both ways might be number 2 as far as where this team wants to go as far as the postseason. But yeah, because it all hinges on your quarterback, of course. But yeah, it's going to be so fun to watch this.
It's so funny going back to like January when we were talking about Travis Hunter, in no way thinking Jacksonville, like just in general having the conversations every time we would talk to a college football analyst or any sort of draft analyst. What is Travis Hunter going to do? Like not knowing that was going to be our storyline in camp that we are going to be following along with. And so it's
all,
wild
by
to
the
go
way,
back
pretty
to
much
that.
Picked either receiver or corner.
Yeah.
I don't think any of them said, he's going to play
do both of them.
both ways in the NFL.
And I think the majority were saying like he can, but how does a team get him to be able to do that was more so the question. I think that I keep using the term, he has all of the ability to do it. How well can he do both at each level? Only like just because of meetings and playbooks and things like that, I think is what kind of pulls people back a little bit. And when we talked to Jamie Erdahl, she said that's kind of what Monte Teo said too. And he slammed the giant book of the playbook down and was like, in college, it's like 6 sheets of paper stapled together. And now you're having these 2 massive playbooks. So can he do it? Yeah. How well does he know the defense and offense, like mentally, and how quickly can he get that is the bigger question to me. And so, but I still think it's going to be so much fun because once you hit training camp, everybody across the NFL is going to be saying, oh my gosh, Travis Hunter had a pick in practice and a touchdown in practice. And that is going to be probably the biggest storyline out of this, even though, yes, I agree, it probably should be Trevor Lawrence and where he is at that point too, especially once you get towards the end of camp.
Well, and you have to keep in mind too, when Travis Hunter is playing defense for the Jaguars, he knows the offensive playbook.
Yeah.
So it's going to be natural for him.
Once games start, it's different.
Correct. He's not going to know the offensive playbook at that point in time. So again, you do have to almost take it with a little grain of salt when you see him play against his own team because he knows the route that the other guy's running, which is going to give him an advantage, again, only against his own team. So even joint practices against the Dolphins.
You'll see a little bit more.
Yeah, before the preseason, you will see some more for sure. All right. So we just talked about Trevor Lawrence and what he can do on the football field this year is going to take potentially this team as far as they want to go, or will limit this team, and maybe they don't make the postseason because of Trevor's play. Here's Liam Cohen on Trevor Lawrence's growth this offseason.
Yeah, I think just calling a play, right? Like you go out here on day 1 of phase 2 and you're calling plays, and whether it be a call it and run it play or a play with 2 calls or a play with 2 calls and maybe a third adjustment, just his ability to go in and command the huddle, call plays, communicate to his teammates, make protection adjustments. I mean, our defense, like I mentioned the other day, has thrown so many different blitz packages at us that multiplicity is great. It'll be really good for our foundation this fall, but he has to think every single play. Like, there's not a ton of plays that he can just shut his brain off and go hand it off. So that has been a huge kind of adjustment in some ways, but also growth, where he's shown the ability to go get us in the right plays, can to the right call, and make the proper calls. I think that's where you've seen the most growth.
I want to pull Liam Coen aside and ask him candidly, off the record, is Trevor Lawrence as advanced as you thought based off of the years he's had in this league?
Mm-hmm.
Or because of how awful his rookie year went and then how we think the offense was pretty antiquated the last 3 years with Doug Peterson and Press Taylor, is he a little bit behind? I would love to know that answer, Taylor, because my guess is Liam Coen, after having worked with a guy like Baker Mayfield in Tampa, and obviously Baker's been in the league in multiple locations at this point in time, but has a ton of experience. I would imagine that Baker has seen more, has learned more in his time in the league. And Trevor, not that his growth has been stunted, but that he hasn't fully grasped everything that he can do within a playbook. And hearing Liam just then talk about, the different protections that he needs to communicate to his team.
Be able to identify.
Absolutely. Like that, I think, is taking football to another level. We've already talked all about the mechanics and how those have changed for him.
Yeah.
But now it's all that stuff at the line of scrimmage too. It's, those play calls in the huddle. I would love for Liam to be able to talk about that without certainly throwing Trevor under the bus or anyone else under the bus. But that's a dream of mine that's not going to come to fruition.
It would be a great conversation. And I think it also would be interesting to talk to him about the difference, because it reminds me a little bit, and I've shared this story before, about what I've heard about Jared Goff from LA to Detroit. And from what I've heard, it's very similar of the time when he got to Detroit. They felt like they needed to work on all of those, that being able to change things at the line of scrimmage, read blitzes, do all of that stuff. He could throw. He could, he had that certain knowledge and the athleticism and the ability to do everything that you needed to do in the NFL. He just wasn't taught all of those little intricate things that you have to do at the line, that a quarterback has to do pre-snap. And so I feel like that sounds like what Liam Coen is saying about Trevor Lawrence. And I do think maybe that is because they didn't just and it did feel like in games, Doug Peterson didn't let him just be Trevor. A lot of times it was them trying to fit him into a box of what they created, and that had a lot of issues, obviously. But Liam Coen was there in his first stint with Jared Goff in LA, and then his second stint, he was there with Matthew Stafford. What was the difference between those two quarterbacks, too, when it comes to that pre-snap stuff and some of the things they had to do before? And which one is Trevor more similar to when it comes to the mind side, the mental side of the game of football?
Yeah, the easy part is throwing the football to an open receiver.
Yeah.
Like anybody can do that.
Yeah.
That's not anybody, I guess, if it's a 40-yard throw. But for the most part, NFL quarterbacks, if there's an open guy and they have protection, finding that guy, throwing him open, as far as anticipating that, that is I would say, they would say, that's probably the easiest part. It's way more than that.
Yeah.
Way more.
Yeah, there's a million little things. And that's why when I said the other day, too, there's so many things that even happen before the ball hits the quarterback's hands, and the quarterback has to be involved in every single second of those things. And so I remember talking to Shane Matthews one time, and he said the easiest part of playing quarterback are the downfield throws. If you have an arm, that's the easiest part of the game. The hard part are the intermediate, the midfield, reading all of the blitzes and all the little things we're talking about with pre-snap and the line of scrimmage stuff. But he was also just talking about the shorter throws, the ones that you kind of have to, when you talk about throw open a receiver, but more in that middle range. And that's something that we've seen Trevor struggle with. When you go through and you break down his charts of success and non-success throws, the majority of his deep balls are great and accurate, and that hasn't been one of his issues. But when the shorter you get with those, the more he's started to struggle. And so I do think that that's something that Liam Coen is definitely going to focus on, because that's something that Baker Mayfield did a lot last year.
For sure. All right, so the U.S. Open is going on. We'll let you hear a U.S. Open update in just a minute. But then on the other side, I want you to hear more from Liam Coen and also from the quarterback, Trevor Lawrence. You are listening to Helmets and Heels on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
This U.S. Open update on 1010XL is brought to you by TopDressing.com.
Westwood One Sports presents this special report on the 125th U.S. Open Golf Championship. Wherever your golf journey is headed, a PGA professional will help you get there. Find your PGA coach at pga.com/coach. 15 minutes to go until the afternoon wave tees it up at Oakmont Country Club, and surely they are paying attention to scores in the morning. J.J. Spawn made 4 birdies on his opening 9. He's led most of the day at 4 under. Siwoo Kim of Korea, Thomas Dietrich of Belgium at 2 under. A group of 5 at 1 under includes Adam Scott and former U.S. Open winner Gary Woodland. Rory McIlroy, even defending champ Bryson DeChambeau, is 1 over. Yet to tee it up, Colin Morikawa and world number 1 Scotty Scheffler. They are out at 1:25 p.m. alongside Victor Hovland. With this report on the U.S. Open, I'm Whit Watson, Westwood One Sports.
Your life, your goals, your legacy. With a dedicated Fidelity advisor, it's all part of a comprehensive plan to help grow and protect your wealth. Visit fidelity.com/wealth. Investment minimums apply. Fidelity Brokerage Services, LLC. Member NYSE, SIPC.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Your life, your goals, your legacy. With a dedicated Fidelity advisor, it's all part of a comprehensive plan to help grow and protect your wealth. Visit fidelity.com/wealth. Investment minimums apply. Fidelity Brokerage Services, LLC. Member NYSE, SIPC.
Mia here for my friends at Duck Duck Rooter Plumbing, Septic, and Air Conditioning. Yup, that's right. You don't have to call 3 different companies when things go wrong this summer. Just call my friends at Duck Duck Rooter. Whether it's a leak, a clog, or your system just won't cool, they've got you covered. Give them a ring at 904-862-6769 or visit duckduckrooter.com. Duck Duck Rooter Plumbing, Septic, and Air Conditioning. One call does it all.
Watch the Stanley Cup Final at the brand new Front Runners Tap House inside the Community First Igloo. Specials include $1 wings and $3 drafts for the Stanley Cup Final at Front Runners Tap House.
Hey, John, have you seen the exciting 2025 lineup at Randy Marion Cadillac?
They've got the Lyric, IQ, Optique, and the stunning Vistique. It's a Cadillac lover's dream.
And the best part, over 100 new Cadillacs are in stock and ready for you to drive home today.
Plus, it's the perfect time to trade in your Tesla and experience luxury and performance like never before.
Visit us today at Randy Marion Cadillac on Southside Boulevard in Jacksonville.
Don't miss out on these incredible vehicles. Your new Cadillac awaits.
Tell them Jennifer sent ya.
It's the event everyone waits for. Now at Beard's Diamonds. Buy one, get one free on all wedding bands. Now for a limited time, when you buy his wedding band, get hers free. Buy hers, get his free. Save up to $10,000. Are you about to get married or been married for years thinking it's time for an upgrade? There's nothing that symbolizes your love more than the wedding band. Beard's has hundreds and hundreds of bands from top designers in white gold, yellow gold, rose gold, titanium, platinum, plain bands, channel set bands, pave set, eternity bands. And for men, masculine bands, wide, modern, with and without diamonds, hammered, brushed, engraved, lots of colors. Come to Beard's now and find the wedding band that reflects your style and your personality. Buy one, get the second one free. The big box corporate jewelry stores can't or won't do this, but Beard's can. And it's happening now through June 23rd. Buy one wedding band, get the second one free. Don't miss this opportunity to celebrate your eternal love with the eternal symbol, Beard's Diamonds, at St. John's Town Center.
Are you ready to reclaim your backyard? Serving Northeast Florida since 1977, Surfside Pools is the trusted name for expert pool design. Family owned and operated, they offer pool service, equipment repairs, commercial maintenance, remodels, and new pool construction. Let Surfside Pools transform your backyard into the oasis that you crave. Are you ready to float happy? Visit surfsidepools.net or call 246-2666. Surfside Pools and Spas, where luxury meets leisure.
License number CPC 044080.
This Date in Sports History is brought to you by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
On June 12th, 1981, Larry Holmes TKOs Leon Spinks in the third round to defend his world heavyweight title.
Rotator cuff injuries are common among athletes and those who have physically demanding careers. Don't let this injury keep you away from the sport you love. Dr. George Barry here, and the first thing you need to do with a serious shoulder injury is to diagnose where the damage is and how significant it is. Rotator cuff tears are either acute tears sustained during an injury or accident, or degenerative tears. If you're interested in learning more about rotator cuff repair and how our expert team of orthopedic surgeons can help you, call Barry Orthopedics today or visit barryorthopedics.com.
This is Hayes Carline, and I'm so proud of my guy, Leon Searcy.
Man, I used to want to eat all the time, but just 1 month on Physician Guided Weight Loss, and I've already dropped 15 pounds.
And I lost 25. No side effects, just results.
The GLP, one curbs my cravings and keeps me feeling full. It's been easier than I expected, and I feel amazing.
Their staff is great, and best of all, no surprise costs.
If you're ready to bring sexy back this summer, visit pgweightloss.com.
Physician Guided Weight Loss, safe, doctor supervised.
And it works.
Texting enrolls you into recurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Hey, Dan, how you doing? Haven't seen you around the gym for a while.
Yeah, I've really fallen off. Since I turned 40, I just don't get the results I used to get.
Could be lower testosterone.
Lower T?
Yeah, I went through it a while back. Once you hit 40, your body has less free testosterone. I got Nugenix Total T, and it's made a huge difference for me.
I've seen that ad on TV. Is it for real?
Oh, yeah. The key ingredient is something called Tesnor, which helps boost free and total testosterone levels to help you trim up and stay lean.
And it's made a difference for you?
Man, I feel like I'm in my 20s again, at work, in the gym, and in the bedroom.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try it for themselves?
Yeah, you just need to send them a text.
Text KETTLE to 321-321 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T, the #1 selling testosterone booster at GNC. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, to help you get back into shape fast. Absolutely free. Text KETTLE to 321-321. That's KETTLE to 321-321.
Tired of changing out bad sod year after year? Get it done right with Roundtree Sod. Big or small, they have it, and always supplied farm fresh. For a lush, legendary green lawn, call 7414 SOD for a free estimate. 7414-SOD.
Been in a car crash? I'm local attorney Rick Alexander, and I've made it our mission at the Alexander Law Practice to listen to you so I can fight for the best possible result for you. I've been practicing over 30 years, and our team focuses on guiding you through the entire process. And because fees and reimbursement costs come out at the end of the case, I will never ask you to come out of pocket. For a free review, call 904-400-6600 or log on to alexanderlawpractice.com, Jacksonville.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555, Jacksonville.
When I was 6 years old, I broke my leg.
Taylor Dahl, RJ Saunders, I'm Lauren Brooks with you. Mia O'Brien on vacation until next week. Let's get into some more audio from Liam Cohen as he met with reporters post-practice. And Taylor, I think this speaks to what you were just talking about how Trevor Lawrence, his deep passes are off the charts good. Mm-hmm. But sometimes those intermediate throws or just the timing's off across the middle of the field. Well, Liam Cohen, working with, of course, James Gladstone in free agency, wanted to get a guy like Dyami Brown here. And here is why he said Dyami Brown came to Jacksonville.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think when you watched him last year and you saw a little bit more of a ball in hand / deep threat, and you didn't really see him work the intermediate that much. And I think over the course of this spring, Trevor and him have gained a little bit of a chemistry on some of those, intermediate in-breakers, curls, maybe out-cuts. I just think that they have a little bit of a chemistry, and that was part of the selling point to have him come here was, man, we really want to continue to diversify your route tree and have you do more, right? You're not just a screen, jet sweep, vertical threat. We want to continue to diversify his route tree, and I think that those two have built a little bit of a chemistry out here.
So for people wondering, why would the Jaguars pay Dyami Brown $10 million? Why are so many 10-10XL people so high on him in addition to his speed if he's just another deep threat? Well, you just heard Liam Cohen say the reason he wanted to come here, Dyami Brown did, is because he wanted to be a more versatile guy on the football field.
Yeah, and I think that it's so important for offenses. And I saw this chart earlier, and it was talking about some of the offenses last year who were the least predictable in passing situations, and then the most obvious in passing downs, least obvious in passing downs. The Tampa Bay Bucks and the Detroit Lions were two of the least predictable teams when it came to being obvious in those passing situations, which is what you want. But then you look at their quarterbacks and the numbers they had, and they were passing a lot. So that shows you, number one, they were able to run the ball, so that helps because that throws off things a little bit. But being able to have wide receivers that can do a lot of different things is a very good weapon to have. But I also think having a quarterback that understands the importance of those two, and I think that sometimes Trevor gets so comfortable in his ability of the deep pass that it would just go to that. I remember early last year, the first few games, I was like, yeah, he had this amount of yards, but 160 yards came from 3 passes. And so you can only do that so much before teams start to figure it out and becomes predictable. So adding all of these other routes and wide receivers that can kind of start getting that connection with him in those routes, I think is so massively important.
And here is the quarterback on number 5, De'Ami Brown himself.
Man, I've been super impressed with him. His speed, obviously, is a threat down the field, which is important as a receiver, can stretch the field, but also he's a really, really smart football player. You know, he's picked up the system really quickly. He's always in the right spot. I think that's something about him. I don't know if you guys watch plenty of practices. He's gotten the ball a lot because it seems like he's always in the right spot. He's always has a feel for the zone, like where to sit, where to throttle, kind of those voids. And I just think he's really smart, and I'm really excited adding him to the offense, to the weapons that we already have. It's exciting.
Yes, Trevor, we've noticed De'Ami Brown has caught a ton of passes out there at the practices that we've been able to attend. And
I don't think I saw one. I feel like I didn't see one.
And yeah, yesterday was probably
I was like, where is he?
The least amount that he was targeted of all the different practices. But again, today, Trevor, and you could see the chemistry between Trevor and De'Ami as well. And look, I think Liam Cohen has a lot at his disposal, but it's also, I always go back to, it's the scheme. Like you just mentioned, predictability. Last year, the offense was totally predictable because the offensive line was terrible running the football, right?
Yeah.
Like they could not move anybody in order to create some space for the running backs. Did the running backs have issues themselves? For sure. But when you can't run the football, everybody knows you're going to throw the football. And so then they play the defense differently, right? And that's when you have the nickel and dime packages out there because they know they don't need to stack the box because they can stop you without having to stack the box if you're going to try and run the football. Now Liam Cohen at the helm of this offense, that's going to be the really intriguing part is how unpredictable is it? And like you mentioned, the Bucs had an unpredictable offense last year.
And that's what I think that in the sense we've used that word simplify for Trevor a lot. And I think you can simplify things with you're almost still complicating. You're complicating the offense for defenses to be able to read, but you're simplifying it for Trevor because you're taking some of the pressure off of Trevor. And that's been the biggest thing. When we talk about what Justin Herbert and Jim Harbaugh did this last year, things looked a little more intricate. They did run the ball a lot more, but they added some things to help it not just have to be here, Justin Herbert, go throw a 40-yard passer. This is going to be unsuccessful. And that's what it felt like the last couple years with this offense is when you would get to, it would be a 3rd and 5. And you felt like if Trevor couldn't get it 15 yards down the field, then you weren't going to be successful because you couldn't run and you weren't getting any of those short, intermediate 8, 9, 10-yard passes. And so this is, to me, a Liam Cohen offense is exactly what Trevor Lawrence needs to be able to continue to develop and grow and just understand the game of football a little bit more than maybe what Doug Peterson and them just relied on those big plays, big chunk plays all the time from Trevor.
Yeah, the offense is certainly not going to be simple, but it can be complex and have Trevor be asked to do a lot of things, understand a lot of things. But also if you're able to run the football, then that create so many other opportunities for the offense. If it's 3rd and 2 and you know for sure you can get those 2 yards, Liam Cohen's next play call looks a lot different.
Yeah.
When it's 3rd and 2 the last year for sure, they couldn't ever get it. So then they started doing dumb stuff because they knew they couldn't get the 2 yards. And sometimes they put their quarterback in harm's way when it comes to that. And so, or they would throw on that down. And like that's in the modern NFL, you have to be able to hand the ball off and get those 2 yards. And today they were working on some jet sweeps. And it was like, oh man, with the speed that they have, like I am so excited to see that part of this offense. Before, Jamal Agnew was good at jet sweeps, once upon a time. But you also knew as soon as he went out there, it was probably going to be a reverse or a jet sweep to him. And so now they have lots of guys that I feel like can do that.
Yeah, and we've talked a lot about the screens too. And I think when we were talking to Bobby Powers about his breakdown between Liam Cohen's offense in Tampa and how high of a rate they ran screen, but also how high of a rate their screens worked. it just hasn't felt like that here. Like they didn't know how to properly run a screen. Whether sometimes that's personnel. Sometimes, when the blocking and things like that don't happen when it comes to that. But you see other teams and these screens turn into, Tampa Bay being the prime example of that, when someone runs a screen and they're getting 14 yards out of it. And here it was usually losing yards, honestly, is what it felt like the majority of the time. So all of those little things that they're adding to the playbook, you obviously have to be able to successfully do them in a game, and we will see that not until September, really, if they can do that. But I do think that's going to be an important part of being able to, when we say that word, simplify it for Trevor. Those are the things that'll help him.
You know what I wonder? We knew Doug Peterson's tendency was to go for it on fourth down. I wonder what Liam Cohen's tendency is. And nobody at this point knows it because he has never been a head coach in the NFL. And Doug Peterson also loved a challenge, right? Like he was never afraid to challenge. And he usually won them, and that was perfectly fine. But I also wonder when it comes to that for Liam Cohen, too. Like there's so much unknown that we still have to figure out that is going to be something that other NFL teams are going to try and study the Jags in the preseason for sure, because they're trying to learn some things about this new head coach and Liam Cohen.
Yeah, and division-wise, we're going to start today taking a look around the AFC South and get to know kind of post-camp where everybody sits and what's going on, things to look forward to, things to worry about in their sense, but also get an idea of what they're looking at for the Jaguars too, because it's always interesting to talk to people division or outside of division, but especially division, because they've faced Trevor several times now, and their thought on Trevor and their thought on the addition of Liam Cohen with him, the addition of Travis Hunter, and kind of what they expect from the offense. So I'm excited to do that because I think we live in this world, this bubble of the Jaguars, and to kind of get that outside look. Sometimes it looks a little bit different than from what we see.
Oh, absolutely. All right, one more here from Trevor Lawrence. He was talking or asked about Travis Hunter, and so he goes into Travis Hunter's growth so far.
He's grown a lot. There's a lot obviously being thrown on him, being a high pick, playing both ways. There's a lot, I can understand being drafted high in the expectations, but as far as I didn't play both ways. So that's another world. I think he's done a great job. Obviously, this is going to be a big opportunity for him during this break. You want to get your mind right and be ready to go and be rejuvenated for camp, but you also got to really be prepared and be ready. And he's got some time to kind of get in his playbook and learn the system, because rookies have a tough job coming in when we're already halfway through the install. So they come in and half the playbook's in and they're just jumping in on a random, so they don't get to start off like all of us do, kind of with the softballs and work their way in. They jump in right in the middle of it. So I'm excited to spend some time with him this summer. We plan on getting together quite a bit and throwing, getting some timing down, but also just talking through the system. And I got no concerns about him. I'm really excited just to see him continue to get better. And he's a special player on both sides of the ball.
It's really a surprise that any rookie succeeds in the NFL in year one.
Yeah.
Based off of obviously finishing up their whether it's their junior or their senior, whatever, fifth year senior, depending on the COVID stuff, that college football season, immediately pouring everything that they have into the combine. Yeah. I heard Mason Smith talk about that with Hayes Carline yesterday, and preparing to run the 40-yard dash. That doesn't matter. He's a defensive lineman. Why does his 40 matter, right, when it comes to actually playing the game?
And that's if they're not at the Senior Bowl. If they're at the Senior Bowl 2 weeks later, you're at the Senior Bowl after the season ends, pretty much.
Exactly. So then you're doing certainly rounds of interviews, but also being evaluated on the field, off the field. Then, of course, the combine and all that goes into that, between the physical, the interviews, and certainly whatever elements you're going to do on the field, as far as the events that they have. And then, like Trevor just said, then all of a sudden the team that you're drafted to, or even if you join as an undrafted rookie free agent, they've already begun the process of installs and learning the playbook. And you have to come in the middle of that. These vets already have an understanding of it. And then you're thrust into that.
Yeah.
And then the first time you get a break is this dead period, and you're trying to balance, spending time off
with your quarterback if you're a wide receiver, and then also getting a break.
You need that mental break and then emotional break, and then certainly the training camp begins, and it's all right back. And so it's
and then by the way, you have 18 weeks of football at least.
Exactly.
Way more than 18 weeks, 17 games.
18,
And I was talking to Coach Campo about that exact thing yesterday, because I was like, I can't imagine being a rookie in the NFL, and I pretty much just listed everything you just listed, and he he said, Coach Campo was like, that's why you see a lot of rookies go, you'll have the outliers. There's always the outliers that just are fantastic from start to finish. And you're like, wow, this person's amazing. So give them more credit for the ones that can do that. But he did say that's why a lot of times you'll see rookies, one of two things happen. You'll see the slow starts where all of a sudden around week 8, 9, they start picking up. Or you'll see the opposite where they'll come out hot and they're firing on all cylinders. And then all of a sudden, probably around like week 10, 11, 12, they kind of hit this wall. And he was like, because they've been going for a year. A year straight of football and barely a break.
Yeah, you have to wonder if the NFL Combine almost hurt some of these guys. And I don't mean hurt their stock. I mean hurt their advancement. If they weren't focused in training for that, if they would honestly be better served to take the break then and certainly still stay in really good shape for football season, but not be focusing on their vert or their bench press.
Especially if you don't need it. If you're one of those players, you're like, why am I having to do this? Yeah, and I wonder because we talk about the Rams and how they, their offseason approach is very different than some other teams. And we've talked about if the Combine we eventually see kind of going away just because less and less people are doing a lot of the drills and the interviews. Some teams aren't doing the interviews anymore, and it's becoming a little bit less important. And maybe it turns into a world where it's pro days, and that's what maybe that takes a little bit of the pressure off of them in the offseason. I don't know how much.
Yeah, the NFL would never allow that.
I know, but you can't make them go. So I'm just wondering if less and less teams start going, less players start doing anything, and then at that point, it's there, but what are we talking about at that point? I did want to do a side note because we were just talking about this just by a quick search. So Liam Cohen and the Bucs, as the Bucs play caller, converted 64.3% of their fourth downs. However, they didn't go for it much at all as they led the NFL in third down and converting third down. So,
and I wonder if that's Liam's call, if that's the head coach's call, right? At that point in time, Todd Bowles. But it's going to certainly
or the little graphic on the TV that tells you to go for it.
Yeah, the analytical guy. Sure. Yeah, it's all going to be a really fun case study just to see how he does on the sidelines, right? Is he a good in-game coach? I think he will be because he grew up the son of a football coach and he's been a coach for a long time now. But we haven't seen it. Just like we haven't seen Travis Hunter play offense or defense yet in the NFL, and certainly a lot of those rookies as well. All right, on the other side, I'll give you today's Terminix Pest of the Day, also a U.S. Open update coming your way. It's 1010XL on 92.5 FM.
This U.S. Open update on 1010XL is brought to you by TopDressing.com.
Westwood One Sports presents this special report on the 125th U.S. Open Golf Championship, sponsored by Prevagen. Prevagen, made for your brain. The afternoon wave begins at Oakmont Country Club. Major winners Justin Thomas and Brooks Koepka are in a group with Minwoo Lee at 1:03 p.m. Jordan Spieth and John Rahm go off at 1:14. Alongside the last man to win a U.S. Open at Oakmont, Dustin Johnson. Sunny and calm in the morning, and J.J. Spahn took a walk in the park, posting at 4 under. The 34-year-old has never made a cut at a U.S. Open. His best finish at a major, a tie for 23rd at the Masters in 2022. 4 players now at -1. Among other notables, Xander Schauffele, 4 over, defending champ Bryson DeChambeau, 2 over. With this report on the U.S. Open, I'm Whit Watson, Westwood One Sports.
Remembering great moments in golf history, sponsored by Prevagen. Prevagen, made for your brain. In 1980 at Baltusrol Golf Club in New Jersey, Jack Nicklaus captured his 4th and final U.S. Open title, opening the tournament with a blistering, record-tying round of 63. But Japan's Isao Aoki kept the pressure on throughout the weekend. In the end, Nicklaus delivered a masterful performance, finishing with a then-record low score of 272, securing victory by 2 strokes over Aoki. With this great moment in golf history, I'm Scott Graham.
The Jeep brand has always stood for American freedom. And now we're standing with you with Employee Pricing Plus. Hurry into your Jeep brand dealer for details today and join the family. Jeep, there's only one. Offer valid on select 2024 and 2025 Jeep brand vehicles for non-FCA employees and retirees. $200 admin fee applies. Not all buyers will qualify. Restrictions apply. Does not apply to leases. Ends 6/30/25. Jeep is a registered trademark of FCA US LLC.
This is Mark Nato. My son Justin injured his hand playing baseball for JU.
Southeast Orthopedic Specialist performed surgery just a few days later, and within 5 weeks, he was cleared to play in the ASUN baseball tournament. Our family has trusted Southeast Orthopedic Specialist for years. For any orthopedic injury, let Southeast Orthopedic Specialist take care of you too.
Relieve pain and get back to life. Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
It's tune-up time, and Florida Home AC, the official AC partner of the Jaguars, wants to partner with you for a cool summer season. Tune up your AC unit right now so it's running at peak performance when you need it most. Just call 777-4300 and order a tune-up for just $59. Keep your unit humming at optimal level. Log on to FloridaHomeAC.com and take advantage of their savings. Keep cool with Florida Home AC. That's 777-4300.
They were right. It could have waited. I can't believe it happened to me. Reaching to check my phone. Now my family has to hear that I'm never coming home again.
Officer?
I'm so sorry. I have some very sad news to share with you.
Every day, 9 people on Florida roadways don't make it home. I was one of the people that didn't make it home.
Ride with Do Not Disturb. Every trip, every time. Let's get everyone home safely. A message from Florida Department of Transportation, Target Zero. For more information, visit targetzerofl.com.
The Golf Club of Southampton has plenty going on, from a great round to a round with your buds, soaking up some football and great grub. Every Saturday and Sunday at Southampton, enjoy their game day special. Wings tossed in your favorite sauce and a cold pitcher of beer. Membership opportunities to take advantage of, too. Join Southampton with a paid initiation, and you'll get a $500 gift card. Perfect for golf, pro shop purchases, or the clubhouse. Check it out. It's all happening at the Golf Club of Southampton.
At Hurricane Grill and Wings, the wings are fresh, the drinks are cold, and the game is always on. With 30 bold flavors, ice-cold beer, and handcrafted cocktails, there's no better place to kick back and catch every play. Escape the ordinary. Your home for sports is Hurricane Grill and Wings.
How much do the performers for Super Bowl halftime shows get paid?
Filing an insurance claim following a storm shouldn't be an ordeal. Southern Oak Insurance's claim team prepares for catastrophic situations well in advance. Log on to southernoak.com.
Our family protecting yours. Southern Oak Insurance.
Super Bowl performers are not paid for their shows, but production costs are covered by the NFL, which could go as high as $15 million.
Southern Oak Insurance. Our family protecting yours.
Prosser here for Lifetime Enclosures and Lifetime Flooring. With the weather now hot as can be, look ahead and get that backyard ready for fall with a new open air or screened-in enclosure. Maximize the space you have and make it great with Lifetime Enclosures and Lifetime Flooring. They truly are the best in the business. So if you have the space and the idea, give them a call today. Lifetime Enclosures and Lifetime Flooring. Showroom just off Phillips Highway. Tell them Prosser sent you.
Home of the Jacksonville Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
Want your son or daughter to enjoy sports year-round? Then log on to i9sports.com with summer and fall registration open right now, including girls volleyball at Duval Charter Bay Meadows, plus plenty of other spots and sports on the First Coast. i9sports.com. Enter 1010 for a discount.
Prosser here. It's a great time to sell your home, and I got just the people to sell it for you. Spring selling season is here. Rates are down, activity's up. Now's the best time in years to sell your home. Some homes are sitting on the market, though. Hiring an expert who can maximize your equity and minimize your hassle, that's the key. And I've been telling you who those experts are. Are you listening? I recommend Chad and Sandy Newman. Go to chadandsandy.com, the local real estate experts you can trust with the sale of your home. No required costly repairs. Pick your move date. There are no long-term contracts, and you can cancel at any time. So whatever problems you think you have, I've got you this promise. Chad and Sandy guarantee your home sold at an agreed-upon price and deadline, or they will buy it. There you go. Simple as that. Christopher on Anastasia Island. My home was too big for my needs. I wanted someplace smaller and easier to manage. I got multiple offers and sold in 3 days with Chad and Sandy. You can too at chadandsandy.com or 904-414-6200.
DivorceMenOnly.com. This is Kenny Lay of Kenny Lay & Associates. Our firm specializes in representing men in family law. That's all we do. That's our only focus. We can help with all of your family law needs, such as divorce, custody, alimony, and child support. For over a decade, we have helped thousands of men with these types of issues. We even have an appellate division ready to challenge a judge's ruling. If you need a family law attorney, go to DivorceMenOnly.com. DivorceMenOnly.com. Offices, Jacksonville.
The 2025 season schedule has dropped, and single game tickets are on sale now. Be at the bank to watch Travis Hunter, Trevor Lawrence, and the Jaguars take on the biggest names in the NFL. Don't miss your favorite matchup and secure your tickets now by visiting jaguars.com/tickets or call 904-633-2000. See you this fall, Jags fans.
Yes, sir. That's the best decision. I love it.
This is your Southeast Orthopedic Specialist local sports update. I'm RJ Saunders for 1010XL. This update brought to you by the Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp. Although Liam Cohen is a first-time head coach, he looks to make a statement with the Jacksonville Jaguars in his tenure. Emmanuel Agba spoke with Joe C. of XL Primetime and talked about his head coach's leadership.
Yeah, I like Liam, spent time in Tampa. I did what's called joint practice with Tampa. So, I like Liam. He's a great officer-minded coach. He brings that leadership also. He brings that, like I said, that family, where you got to come out here and work. We need that as a team, especially a young team. We need that work, and we got to come out here and grind for it. So.
Sound courtesy of 1010XL. Right now, 89 degrees at 101. Time and Temp brought to you by Bueller Air and Plumbing. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
We go together. Better than birds of a feather, you and me. We change the weather.
Taylor Dahl, RJ Saunders. I'm Lauren Brooks with you on this Thursday afternoon. Mia O'Brien on vacation. She will return next week. The Jaguars, by the way, now on vacation until training camp. We don't have the dates yet as far as when exactly it starts, but it's usually sometime around my birthday, late July. Taylor, I know you know this because we went to the Players every single day. JJ Spawn finished in second, runner-up at the Players. He went to a playoff with Rory McIlroy on that Monday. They couldn't finish on Sunday, and he lost. Certainly, Rory played much better than JJ Spawn did, but I think everybody pretty much learned, unless you're a diehard golf fan, you pretty much learned JJ Spawn can play some really good golf, and maybe he's a guy that was kind of more of the non-heralded type of golfer. He walked on to his college. And now all of a sudden you see him leading at the U.S. Open. He just shot a 66 today. He has 4 under par. And the guy who I just referenced who had won the Players this year, Rory McIlroy, now 4 over. So Rory's starting to fall a little bit apart. At one point in time today, he was 2 under, but
I saw DeChambeau was 3 over also. So
and we know it's a rough golf course. The U.S. Open is known for
pun intended.
Yeah, exactly, a rough golf course, and they have some really high roughs. Like we talked about with Gary Smits yesterday, they don't have any water on the golf course, which is so strange to me.
Yeah. They just have like a lot of bunkers and bad
huge bunkers. And then the greens, they said, I was listening to the coverage this morning as I drove to the Miller Electric Center. They said that there's still a little moisture on the greens from the rain that they've had previously. So they're not running as fast as they will. But if they continue to not have rain, then they're, I think, going to get up to like 15 on the stimp meter. And so, it's going to be an interesting, I think, golf tournament. And as far as, like Gary said, sometimes you have somebody win it that most people have never heard of. I'm not saying JJ Spawn's necessarily going to win, but could we end up having a guy that surprises people?
Yeah, and I think one of the interesting stats that I read off yesterday, too, was that in the last 9 U.S. Opens at Oakmont, only 23 people have been under par in those 9. You have 6 today under par right now. And so we'll see how this continues. And if that starts drying out and they get faster, how that looks for some of these golfers. But so far, I mean, you look at the leaderboard right now, and it's not any of the names that you've been talking about, at least me, the last couple days.
Yeah, Siwoo Kim is certainly a very recognizable golfer. Ben Griffin has been playing well this year. So Griffin, Siwoo Kim, Thomas Detry, Thurston Lawrence, not Trevor Lawrence, Thurston Lawrence, they're all 2 under, and then Robert McIntyre 1 under. Adam Scott's a guy who won the Players way back in 2004. He is at even along with some other guys, but certainly a guy that's played a lot of golf over his years, which is crazy to think that Adam Scott is now one of the older golfers. But Harris English, a guy that Gary liked, is 2 over. And then as far as Scotty Scheffler, he doesn't tee off until it's about 20 minutes from now. He tees off with Victor Hovland and one other guy. I think Colin Morikawa.
Okay.
That's his grouping today. So we'll keep you updated.
That's a fun group.
Absolutely. When it comes to that, again, the Oakmont is the host of the U.S. Open this year outside of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Time now for today's Terminix Pest of the Day. Terminix does such a great job at our house. They recently sprayed for mosquitoes so we can actually hang out outside and not have to worry about those really annoying bugs. And then any sort of pests, if you have ants, if you have cockroaches, they will come to your house. They will take care of all those. And they take care of Everbank Stadium, ViStar Ballpark, ViStar Veterans Memorial Arena, all of your favorite event venues around town. They do such a good job. You can find them online at Terminix.com, TERMINIX.com. All right, Taylor, we briefly talked about this earlier this week. And when I saw these stats, I thought, uh-oh. So the pest of the day is the fact that the WNBA does not seem to be able to exist without Caitlyn Clark. And here are the numbers. The nationally televised WNBA viewership is down 55% since she was injured, according to Nielsen ratings. The Fever national TV games are down 53% since her injury. So you used to have an average of 1.8 million average viewers, and now it's down to 847,000 viewers since the injury. So the pest is the fact that I don't think that one person should affect whether, and specifically for people who are quote unquote Fever fans, one person, one player should not affect whether you're watching the game. Like, I understand that she's a nationwide sensation. I understand all the national attention she gets, and I'm not blaming her for any of this. Y'all, if y'all want to support this league, y'all got to support the league and watch when she's not playing. Like that to me, and I told you I watched some of the games Saturday night against the Chicago Sky. It was not a close game whatsoever, so it was really boring. But I kept it on because my cousin was in attendance and I kept wanting to see her. But I don't know that a league can survive if one player is going to drastically 55%
in 2 weeks. It's not like she's been out for 2 months now and
Also
everything's starting to linger down. She was only missing 2 weeks of time. I don't know how much and this is just me assuming. Fever fans, if you're an actual Fever fan, I'm guessing you continued to watch. My guess is that 50% is everybody else who is just like either not a Fever fan and watches the WNBA or just not a WNBA fan, and they just literally were watching those games for Caitlyn Clark. All those people dropped off. So now it dropped 50% because the only people left are the actual Fever fans at this point. Or true WNBA fans.
Apparently there's not a lot of those.
Yeah. And we had this conversation. I remember going back to before Caitlyn Clark was drafted, and you and I were asking Mia, like, how long does this last? Is this a momentary thing, like the excitement of Caitlyn Clark and Angel Reese and that all of that was kind of coming out during that draft class? And also, how much was it also going to be just because of Caitlyn Clark? And was the WNBA growing, or was people just wanting to watch her? I think this is the biggest sign that I don't know if the WNBA is growing. I think people just think that Caitlyn Clark is a fascinating story, and she's amazing, and she's one of the biggest names that we've had in sports in a long time to just come out from college straight into her whatever sport they are playing and be able to be successful right away and kind of do the same thing and not have that fall off whatsoever. I just saw a video I was watching earlier today, and these guys did name the top 10 most famous U.S. athletes right now. And so they asked AI, which AI is weird, but it does a lot of crazy things. So I'm guessing it's taking analytical how many searches people have and what's watched and
Was LeBron one?
LeBron was number one. And
if it wasn't that, then I would say it's a bad list.
Yeah, LeBron was one, and I'm pretty sure Steph Curry was number two. But Caitlyn Clark was the only girl on this list, and she was like number 7 or 8. And it was just wild to see that because the other people on the names on that list were LeBron and Steph, who we've been talking about for a very, very long time. Aaron Rodgers was on the list, but I think he's just drama.
For people not watching, Taylor rolled her eyes as she said the name Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, I'm sure Travis Kelce was on the list. Obviously, I think football fans, but you add Taylor Swift into the equation, that's on there. So the other name, Patrick Mahomes was on there, Lamar Jackson was on there. To me, the other names are ones that we've been talking about for a long period of time. There wasn't anybody else that's only been around for a year or two that were on that list other than Caitlyn Clark. And that just, to me, signifies how important, clearly, those numbers also that she is to that league.
And I'm sure Mia could answer this question better than anyone else, but like, I don't understand why Caitlyn is as popular or so much more popular than a player like Sabrina Ionescu, who also is really good from the 3-point range. So that's where I don't, like I said, Mia could probably answer that question, but like, why is everyone so focused on one person when there are other players that can do something similar?
Yeah.
I guess is my question. And like Paige Beckers, I feel like isn't getting nearly as much attention, and she just had a 35-point game the other night. But again, if people aren't interested in the storyline of the WNBA, I don't think they're watching. And for the here and now, I think the storyline originally was Caitlyn Clark versus Angel Reese.
Yeah.
That's gone away a little bit. And now it really does feel like it's just Caitlyn Clark. And I just don't know why.
Yeah.
I can't figure out why.
Yeah. And I don't know either. I think that, to your point, it started with like the rivalries when it came out straight out of college. It was already Angel Reese and Caitlyn Clark, and that was a conversation. And then that kind of has lingered on. We were just talking about a month ago still because of certain things. But then other like politics had gotten involved in it. And the moment politics get involved in anything, it gets more popular too. And so there's going to be people that hate watch, and there's going to be the people that watch because they want to support her because of certain things that are going on. I will say, like, TikTok is a big part of the world now, especially the younger generation. And she's very popular. There was a whole trend on TikTok about her recently about if she was gay or straight, and that went viral. So like, I honestly think sometimes some of those outside of basketball things make people more interested in watching certain games when it comes to her because of politics and other things that are going on.
Interesting. Yeah. The whole social media part aside, I think the WNBA needs to work harder at creating some other storylines to get people to watch.
Make some other stars, because you do have, to your point, there's other players that, and this was a thing last year, there were other people comparing other players' numbers to Caitlyn Clark and being like, these people are doing the exact same thing or have a better shooting percentage or have made more threes or have more points. And you weren't taught, you probably couldn't even name those. I can't. And so I think that they need to do a better job of making those people, make more stars likable and make people want to watch, because that's what all of the leagues do. And we talk about baseball, for example, and how a guy like Mike Trout has been stuck in this team that nobody really wants to watch, and that's really lessened the way that people talk about Mike Trout in these last few years. And
look at Ohtani.
Yeah,
who went from the
superstar
Angels to the Dodgers.
He has, and now they were on the list. Shohei Ohtani was on the top 10 most famous athletes and U.S. athletes, American sport athletes right now too. And the guy that was saying it, he guessed Mike Trout, and he was like Mike Trout, and then the other guy was like, no, I'd say Shohei Ohtani, and he was like, no, like go look at their social media. Who has more followers? Shohei has 10 million followers and Mike Trout has 2. So that's how quickly, if your team's good, granted it's an international too, but that's how quickly, if your star is on a team that people want to watch the games, not just for that one person, how quickly that can kind of skyrocket their popularity also.
Yeah, I think Aaron Judge right now would be.
And he was on the list too. I think he was number 3. He might have been 2. It might have been LeBron, Judge, and Curry.
Okay, I would imagine that Major League Baseball, Rob Manfred and company are thrilled that they have a guy, not just an Aaron Judge, he's hit 25 home runs this season. Not just that.
Yeah, you have one in each league right now that's just massive superstar.
Right, but he's in New York. He wears the pinstripe.
In L.A. You have an L.A. star and a New York star.
And the one in L.A. is probably going to pitch next year, if not at the end of this year. And so, right now it's a great time.
Amen.
Exactly.
I bet that's why the Dodgers, they're like, I bet the league was like, we'll give you some money on the side if you pay Shohei, because we need a National League star and we need one in L.A.
Dodgers
they
have
had
plenty
enough
of money.
They had enough stars.
Plenty of money. All right. We will have more to do on the other side. You're listening to Helmets and Heels on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Dan Hicken and Jeff Prosser.
I don't want to hear your excuses.
Best friends.
What an idiot.
They love each other. Like brothers.
But our shenanigans are cheeky and fun.
Dan and Jeff. Mornings on 1010XL.
Yo, E.T. here, and I need you to beat the heat this summer with cool escapes and non-stop fun in Clay County. Tackle indoor adventures head on. Throw axes at Live by Axe or smash your stress away at Just Smash That. Then kick back with drinks, good food, and fandom vibes at Nakama Anime Bar or Leaderboard Arcade and Bar. Whether you're blowing off steam or just looking to chill, Clay County got your perfect indoor getaway. Find your pool at exploreclay.com. That's exploreclay.com.
Ready to add some value to your day? The everyday deals at Sonny's have got you covered. Right now, you can get the pork big deal for $10, the pork and rib combo for $12, all you can eat ribs for $19.99, and our new loaded barbecue potato for $11. Available all day, every day. And that's why it's always Sonny's here. Sonny's Barbecue, local pitmasters since '68.
Lauren Brooks here. At Hodges Mazda, they are proud of their great reputation in the Jacksonville community. As your hometown Mazda dealer, their high customer service standards and their huge inventory of new and used cars provide their customers a consistently first-rate car buying experience. Their professional, non-commissioned sales team put your best interests first without exception. And all new vehicle purchases include the Hodges Mazda Protection Package. Visit them online at HodgesMazda.com or stop in today to learn more and discover the Hodges Mazda difference.
Are you 18 years or older, just got married, just got divorced, or have children? Listen up. Have you done your last will and estate planning? You have questions? Call Matt Hinson with the Hinson Law Firm. Reach him at 527-1700. Office is Jacksonville, Florida. And don't let the state decide your fate.
Home is where your story begins. And at Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing, we're here to make it the healthiest, most comfortable place it could be. Whether it's fresh, clean air, dependable plumbing, or reliable power, we take care of it all. From routine maintenance to state-of-the-art solutions, Donovan keeps your home running smoothly. Because at Donovan, we believe your home isn't just where you live, it's where your health meets comfort. Call Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing at 904-270-COOL or visit us online. Let's make your home healthier, safer, and better together.
He thinks he knows what he's talking about.
Of course.
Find out if he does.
Is there anything else we need to know?
Catch CBS Sports senior NFL writer Pete Prisco every Friday afternoon on The Franchi Show. Brought to you by Showtime Sports Cards and Collectibles.
New and pre-owned firearms are in stock at Beach's Jewelry and Pawn in Jacksonville Beach. Want a new sidearm or rifle? Brands like Kimber, Smith & Wesson, 6 Hour, Beretta. No lines, no hassle. Only at Beach's Jewelry and Pawn in Jacksonville Beach.
This is Greg Huntington, a.k.a. The Mangler. I'm on the winning team at Waste Management. WM is the largest sustainability company in North America. If your business needs sustainable environmental services for waste removal and recycling collection, then you can count on the industry leader of WM to deliver results. Your services will be completed in a timely, safe, and eco-friendly manner. Go to WM.com/Duval. That's WM.com/Duval and get signed up today. If anyone can talk trash, it's the Mangler.
Hacker here for Awaken 180 Weight Loss. Look, the summer has arrived. Memorial Day is in the rearview mirror. It's vacation season for me. And over the next couple of weeks, whether it's a cruise, going out to Las Vegas, I'm going to bust out the tank tops, man. I'm going to show off the bod a little bit. Now, would I have done that 100 pounds ago? Of course not. But thanks to the great folks at Awaken 180 Weight Loss, I really have a new lease on life. It's life changing. I'm in the maintenance program now, doing really well, right? The weight is not coming back on. That's almost as rewarding, if not a little more rewarding. It's one thing to lose the weight. It's something else to keep it off. I've been able to do that with the great folks of Awaken 180 Weight Loss. If it's time in your life to make that change like it was for me, go to awaken180weightloss.com or call 844-346-1800. If I can do it, you can do it. Awaken 180 Weight Loss.
We're certainly facing interesting economic times. For me, it's comforting to know my money's in good hands with ITP Partners. Jacksonville guys taking care of my Jacksonville money. Experience? Yeah, that's Chris Bryan, Jeff Hartman, Reagan Wright, Dan Abel, Scott Regner, Janice Cobb, and Reed Wingate. They have the expertise and knowledge to take care of your money. For more info, go to itppartners.com. ITP Partners, they're my financial partners for life.
Non-compensated client testimonial may not be representative of all client experiences. No guarantee of future performance or success.
The SEC and the ACC will face off in Jacksonville at the 81st TaxSlayer Gator Bowl game, December 27th at 7:30 p.m. Join us for Saturday Night Football in prime time at the bank. Preferred locations and pricing available now at TaxSlayerGatorBowl.com.
Hey everybody, it's Mike Dempsey, and I only like to recommend the best, which is why I'm proud to say that I chose Pella Windows and Doors for my own home. And now's a great time to upgrade your home with 0% financing for 60 months. That's 5 years of interest-free payments on the best windows and doors in the business. Don't wait. Schedule a free consultation at PellaJacks.com or visit their showroom on Phillips Highway just north of Bay Meadows. For quality you can trust and savings you can't miss, that's Pella Windows and Doors.
Transmission troubles? I'm Robin Sidbury, owner of Action Transmission Specialist on Merrill Road. So come in and see how we can help solve your transmission troubles. We service all makes and models. Remember, get traction. Call Action at 744-0755.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, the cool down from the cool guys at Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing. Fast, reliable, and honest service since '87.
All right, I'm going to cool down with a little bit of the conversation we were having earlier about Trevor Lawrence and his strengths and weaknesses. And we talked about that deep ball and how everybody knows, including Liam Cohen, he spoke on it, that is one of the best parts of Trevor Lawrence's game. And I do think that is where you feel like he's most comfortable. That goes back to college. The weapons he had at Clemson probably helped that also.
Justin Ross, had it not been for a neck injury, I think would have been a great NFL receiver. Certainly one of the fastest guys we've ever seen. And then T. Higgins, we know what he can do in this league. And,
Exactly.
and Travis Etienne, who Trevor had at Clemson, he's had ever since he's been in the league, outside of Travis Etienne's rookie season when he got injured. But that's, I think, a big question mark going into this year is I really want to know how these running backs are going to be deployed, how they're going to be utilized. I really don't know who is going to be the quote-unquote featured back.
Mm-hmm.
It could end up being Travis Etienne, and I think they're going to work on his hands, certainly catching out of the backfield. It could be Tank Bigsby, especially if the two of them can control any sort of fumbling issues. That's important. And then Bashal Tootin is this cat that can scoot. And then you've got Ken Allen, who's
and
also
has
really
some
good catching out
thighs,
of the
by the way.
backfield.
I was like, goodness gracious.
Yeah, Tank Bigsby, I feel like, and Bashal Tootin,
they both.
like, it feels like they get after it on leg day. So there's so many combinations of things, and that's another fun position group to watch.
And that's what my takeaways from yesterday, too, that I didn't mention were some of the outfit choices. I kept looking at you, and I'm like, how? Because I think it was Anton has like sweatpants on, and I'm like, maybe he's trying to get some weight down, and that's adding
but Travis Etienne also does the long sleeve.
I just
he
can't.
Wears pants too, and it's funny. I was thinking about it today when it comes to when I swam competitively. Swimmers always wear. Not always, but I used to wear, and a lot of us used to wear, two suits.
Mm-hmm.
The one on top you called your drag suit. And so that way, when it came time to your actual races and you have only your one really good suit on, you feel like you're faster. Some would also not shave their arms and legs.
Because you take off the top one
you're not
before
gonna wear,
you race. Okay.
Yeah. You practice all week with two suits on, and then race day, you only wear your one really good high-performance suit.
Yeah.
And people also would not shave their arms and legs until the race day too, like girls included, which that's a whole other choice. But I wondered if it's kind of like that when it comes to these guys at practice. Like certain guys, they're only going to wear their jerseys and the short shorts.
Yeah.
And then there's other guys, like we said, in long sleeves, and then some guys in pants as well. Are they kind of trying to train their body so that when it comes to game time, they feel like they're even faster?
Yeah, it would possibly, but you also have weights coming. Pads coming soon,
Right.
so that adds a lot of weight. And maybe that's part of it. They want to get closer to what it feels like having pads on. So I don't know. And then I know people do different things. I remember my uncle, who I told you played football in Orlando with Chris Johnson, and then played out in Arizona for a little while. His thing was he would always wear this trash bag thing when he would run, because it would just help him sweat extra.
Yeah, wrestlers do that.
Yeah, and that was his thing. That was he would do the stairs and wear that, and I always used to be like, that looks miserable. But that was just one of the things I noticed, because some of them I was like, that's what I would be wearing, shorty shorts, and barely anything, because it's way too hot outside right now.
Especially if my thighs look like
the facial tunes.
like theirs do.
Or Tyson Campbell walked by. I was like,
Campbell
or
for
those
sure.
thighs. I'd be wearing my shorts and those thighs.
Yeah, Tyson Campbell has had a great offseason for sure. I did want to mention, we've talked about her and had her on the program, Smilla Colby, the great track runner at UNF. She punched her ticket to the 2025 NCAA Outdoor Track and Field Championship a couple weeks ago at UNF, when UNF hosted the NCAA East region. And now that championship takes place, the first round takes place Saturday evening. That takes place, I take it back. It takes place tonight at 9 p.m. The one when she qualified in was a Saturday evening a couple weeks ago, but the semifinal is tonight around 9 p.m.
Wow.
So I wanted to alert people to that, so they watch the 800 meters with Smilla Colby in and root her on to hopefully then get to the championship round. That final round would be Saturday night. These are always taking place in Eugene, Oregon, so the time difference is there. So the final, if she makes it, would be 10:15 Saturday night. Yeah, but either way, I wanted to get people to tune in case you're already watching the Stanley Cup final tonight in Game 4 of that. I feel like you should flip it over and find the track and field and root on a hometown girl.
Yeah, that's exciting. I can't imagine running at 10 p.m.
Well, it's 7 p.m. their
over
time,
there.
'cause-
It's just
yeah,
10 for us.
because
Okay.
it's in Oregon. So that's
maybe
why
I'm
the
thinking
times
because we
are
had
different.
that track thing recently and they were running
They
at
did
10,
because of a 5-hour weather delay. Yeah, track and field obviously
I'm
was
in my
so
pajamas.
weather-related. Absolutely. All right, so back to the Jaguars. I just wanted to get that mentioned in. Yeah, Tyson Campbell has looked really good. I think Jarian Jones has looked really good too, and Jarian is fighting for a starting spot. Like I don't know as of right now who they believe is going to be on the field for the secondary safeties either.
Yeah.
But I can extrapolate who I think will be there for the safeties. I really don't know yet how the corners are going to look.
Yeah,
I know it's
and-
going to be Tyson Campbell and Jordan Lewis, but I
Yes.
don't know the other corner.
Yeah, and I love Jarian Jones, and I've said that a lot on here. I love the way that he just has that extra firiness that you want out of a player in general, but especially your cornerbacks. You want those corners that can feel like they'll walk the walk, they'll talk the talk, and that's very much Jarian. He's also very vocal about he wants to cover, like he wants to be that outside corner, and he told the coaching staff when he got here last year, and that obviously didn't happen. They were just playing people wherever they wanted to play them. But he played well there too, and he's done both in college. And I think his best season at Florida State was that nickel corner, but I don't think that takes away what he was able to do in those previous seasons at outside. And so I'm so excited to see that battle because I do think that you actually have a true competition there. And me saying that means I like Jarian that much means that I do think that it's an upgrade in the position of last year, obviously, because I was not a fan of Ronald Darby whatsoever. And so I'm so excited to see that kind of shake out, but I really do hope for the sake of me that Jarian wins.
I can understand that for the sake of me. Yeah, it could look like Tyson Campbell, Jarian Jones, Jordan Lewis, Eric Murray, Caleb Ransaw. It could be like that. It could also be Tyson Campbell and Buster Brown. Maybe Travis Hunter at points, or certainly Travis Hunter at times, Jordan Lewis, and then Eric Murray, Darnell Savage, or Darnell Savage, Dewey Wingert. There's a lot of different combinations. Certainly, Daniel Thomas is another safety that's really good as far as special teams.
He made a play yesterday, too.
He certainly made a play yesterday, absolutely. And so I think the secondary overall, they have good options, unlike last year.
Yes.
And DeAndre Prince also, he had an interception in the last few days as well at minicamp. So he's still, lurking out there waiting in the wings. Antonio Johnson also had an interception. And so another guy that's in the mix.
Antonio, we've just been, I feel like, talking about for so long. And I do think that you hope that you finally see, because every year I feel like we've had the same conversation. Like, this is the year. It was like that with Andre Sisco, and now obviously he's no longer here. And so I do think you get to the point where after a few years, you start saying, if you're not seeing what you feel like you should see out of it, then you got to part ways. And I kind of think that's what happened with Sisco. So we will see what Antonio Johnson looks like, especially now with the safeties that you have in this room that a lot of people think are a big improvement from even the competition they had last year.
Yeah, if we see good stuff out of some of these guys, we'll know that it was coaching, which we already believe a lot of it had to do with coaching, the lack of communication, the scheme that they ran, all that stuff. But I think, to me, the defense yesterday, the one time that you got to be out there, Taylor, they were flying around. The pass rush was getting home, even though they're not obviously actually sacking the quarterback. Yeah. But they were feisty. They were vocal on the sidelines. Today, I didn't get that sense, so I don't know if Coach Camp told them, hey, reel it back a little bit.
They're embarrassing them, guys.
Right, but the offense certainly did have a much better day, which is good to see. And so, yeah, I have so many questions, and that can lead to, the roster shakeup and the depth chart looking completely different than I predict. It can also lead to these great competitions, these battles, and what the end result is a team that's so much better than the team last year. Look, no one thought this team would win 4 games. Most people probably thought between 8 and 9, somewhere in that ballpark, and then a few people thought double-digit wins. Now I think the realistic expectation is back to that 8 or 9 and maybe beyond that if they can put everything together. All right, so talking about the Jags, of course, let's go around the AFC South. Now that minicamp is in the books, we will chat with Kevin Bowen from up in Indianapolis on the morning show 107.5 The Fan and get his thoughts. Hasn't seen Anthony Richardson throw in minicamp. How's Daniel Jones looked? We will get to all that and more when we return. You are listening to Helmets and Heels on 1010X on 92.5 FM.
This U.S. Open update on 1010XL is brought to you by TopDressing.com.
Westwood One Sports presents this special report on the 125th U.S. Open Golf Championship. World number one Scotty Scheffler is minutes away from his tee time at Oakmont Country Club. He's out at 125 with Colin Morikawa and Victor Hovland. Scheffler, a three-time major winner, including the PGA this year and 2 Masters titles, but not yet a U.S. Open. Scheffler talked about the differences between Augusta National and Oakmont.
U.S. Open compared to the Masters is a completely different type of test. I think in the Masters you have a lot more shot making, and then when you get here, it's a lot of hacking out of the rough, and both of them are fantastic tests. I mean, this is probably the hardest golf course that we'll play maybe ever.
J.J. Spawn posted a 4-under round of 66 in the morning. He holds the lead, looking to make a cut at a U.S. Open for the first time in his career. With this report on the U.S. Open, I'm Whit Watson, Westwood One Sports.
Are you living with dry AMD? If so, you could be on the road to geographic atrophy, or GA, a condition that leads to retinal cell death and permanent vision loss. But with Izervay, you can
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay slows GA progression by targeting a key source of retinal cell death, which may help preserve your vision longer. Izervay, or Avastin Capted Pagel, is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com. Paid for by Astellas Pharma.
Why does Northeast Florida buy from Arlington Toyota? Because Arlington is the place to go for big selection. Mia here, and I'm talking over 800 vehicles, one location, and everyday low prices. Over 350 SUVs, over 175 trucks, over 275 cars. And if that's not enough, there is more inventory on the way, folks. Plus 60-day exchange. Buy from Arlington, take it home, drive it around for 60 days. If you decide it's not right for you, just come on back to Arlington and exchange it for another one. You even get Arlington's lifetime warranty with your new purchase. Why buy from Arlington? Because right now you could get financing as low as 0% on select new models. 0%. And no payments until January 2026. Now you know why Northeast Florida buys from Arlington Toyota. Shop in person on Atlantic Boulevard, just a quarter mile east of 295, or online anytime at arlingtontoyota.com.
Watch the Stanley Cup Final at the brand new Front Runners Tap House inside the Community First Igloo. Specials include $1 wings and $3 drafts for the Stanley Cup Final at Front Runners Tap House.
Hey, Jacksonville, I'm sure by now you've seen our bright green GFL trucks and containers throughout the greater Jacksonville area. We are an industry leader in solid waste and would love the opportunity to earn your business. We are committed to customer service, reliability, and have unwavering focus on safety. Whether commercial or construction, let us haul your waste away. Call 904-760-5880 to get a quote today. GFL, green for life.
Is your roof ready for hurricane season? When storms hit, you need more than just a roof. You need trust. Valor Roofing Company is veteran-owned and operated, serving all of Florida with integrity and quality craftsmanship. From minor repairs to full replacements, they'll treat your home like it's their own. Estimates are always free, and veterans receive a special discount on all roofing services. Visit ValorRoofingCo.com and protect your home with people who care. GAF certified license CCC 1334864.
Soft takes are boring. That's why I dropped the hammer on the Frangie Show. I'm Hayes Carlion. Listen for Hammer Time with Hayes, weekday afternoons on 1010XL.
Hammer Time with Hayes, driven by Kia on Atlantic.
Are you an experienced chiller technician and looking for a role where your skills are truly valued? It's time to make the move to Local 234, plumbers, pipe fitters, and HVAC technicians. You'll get top pay, comprehensive health and welfare benefits for your family, and a pension that doesn't come out of your pocket. Join the team that's got your back. Local 234, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Visit UA234.com to send your resume today.
Equal opportunity employer.
The Poker Atlas Tour is blazing its way through Best Bet St. Augustine now through June 15th. Get in on the action with 7 poker events, highlighted by Event 1 with an impressive $100,000 guarantee, and the $600 No Limit Hold'em title event, boasting a $200,000 guaranteed prize pool. Join us at Best Bet St. Augustine for the Poker Atlas Poker Tour. Head to bestbetjacks.com for details. That's bestbetjacks.com.
Tired of wrestling with your shower curtain like it's a fight for the last slice of pizza? Ditch the drama and say hello to a smooth, stylish glass shower enclosure from Baker Glass. Wago Glass is clean, elegant, and makes your bathroom look huge and brighter. Give your shower a makeover and feel like you're in a spa without the price tag. I'm Mac at Baker Glass. Call me and get ready to love your new shower. Let's make your shower great again. Remember, Baker Glass, no one treats you better.
Rick Ballou for Coy Dental. That's right, Carlson Dental is now Coy Dental. Dr. Lee has been practicing there for 9 years, has purchased the company. The Coy Dental team still has the same great dentists and staff. And remember, if you get nervous visiting a dentist, don't. There's never a problem at Coy Dental with light sedation for cleaning and deep sedation for all your restorative needs. Coy Dental, 2 locations in Jacksonville.
The housing market is as busy as ever on the First Coast. And if you've moved in or moved on, make sure you have a team of trained electricians ready to help. American Electrical can make sure you're up to date electrically and maximize your living experience. Smart home automation services, home theater systems, outdoor and dock lighting, and backup generators. American Electrical can do it all. A team you can trust with highly trained technicians, ensuring you have the best living experience. American-Electrical.com, a leader on the First Coast and powered by professionalism.
Elbow pain, whether acute or chronic, can make it difficult to do normal activities like playing sports, doing household chores, or even sleeping comfortably. Dr. George Barr here, and no one wants to deal with pain without solutions on how to feel better. We've all heard of tennis and golfer's elbow, but there's plenty more that can cause pain, like osteoarthritis, muscle tears, and nerve entrapment. All are treatable at Barr Orthopedics. Getting you back to full health is our mission, and there's a number of different treatment options we can offer. Call us today or visit barrorthopedics.com.
Brendan here with Checkmate Coating. No massive overhead means top prices on top quality pool decks, driveways, garages, and patios too.
Checkmate Coatings, your floor's missing piece.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, another great guest on the Checkmate Coatings phone line. Hello. Your floor's missing piece.
All right, mini camps around the NFL are wrapping up or have wrapped up. And so we're going to take a look around the AFC South and see some of the bigger storylines coming out of camps and kind of what to expect now as we get this time off before training camp hits. So we're going to start with Kevin Bowen. He's joining us, host on the morning show 107.5 The Fan. We're going to talk some Indianapolis Colts. So Kevin, thanks for hopping on and joining us.
Yeah, you bet. Thanks for having me.
I think we have to start with probably one of the biggest storylines in camp for you guys, and that's going to be Anthony Richardson. Also, kind of being a Florida Gator, a lot of people very familiar with Anthony Richardson down here. But from what I've heard, still no timetable. But word on that injury and kind of the frustration level, if there is any for media, for fans, when it comes to Richardson and where he is right now.
Yeah, I mean, I would say massive levels of frustration. And, first off, you just feel awful for him. It's one of those situations where you just wish it could be a video game. You could turn off injuries, but it's not the reality. And, unfortunately, with this specific injury, it's to the right shoulder, and it's the AC joint, which he had surgically repaired 20 months ago. It wasn't a guarantee he was going to have it surgically repaired, but he decided to. And, obviously you do that not to have pain pop up 20 months later and then all of a sudden have to sit out, very precious reps. And I think that's the key emphasis on it is, they just completed today their 9th team practice of the spring. They'll now go on summer vacation. Then Daniel Jones took the starting reps in 7 of the 9 practices. And again, when you're a guy like Richardson coming off a healthy offseason and you're drilling new fundamentals and you need to prove to your coaching staff you can be more consistent, that's really crippling to miss out on those valuable reps. So Right now, if I had to guess, I would think it'll be Daniel Jones. We'll see when Richardson gets back during training camp, but right now, I would say Daniel Jones is your week 1 starter.
Is there a way that Riley Leonard somehow, some way becomes the backup quarterback ahead of Anthony Richardson?
Unless Richardson is hurt. I mean, I think if Richardson is healthy, I could still see Jones, beating him out as a starter. I would think, and I guess hope for his sake that he would still be the backup. Think about Riley Leonard. And this is coming from a huge Notre Dame fan. They went on a great run last year, Notre Dame, but as a thrower, he needs some definite development. I mean, he lasted until the middle of round 6 for a reason. It's not because he's not tough. It's not because he doesn't have high character. It's not because he can't run. It's because he's not a very accurate thrower of the football, especially at the NFL level. So, I would be surprised. I mean, they had Desmond Ridder, for example, and as a minicamp tryout guy this week. So even if Richardson was out for some reason, I think they'd probably opt for the veteran route to back up Daniel Jones.
Yeah, Kevin, also a Notre Dame fan here. If you need Riley Leonard to drive you 98 yards and just break through a few tackles, you've got him in that realm. But when it comes to the passing part, maybe there's definitely some work to be done there. When it comes to Daniel Jones, though, you said 7 of the 9 practices he took those starting reps. How has Daniel Jones looked in camp there?
Yeah, I would say, relatively solid. I always throw in the caveat of I'm talking to you on June 12th. I try to remind fans, it's still no full pads.
Mm-hmm.
It is today, for example, it's a very abbreviated day. He only threw 4 passes and 11-on-11 work. But, for a guy learning a new offense, I would call it solid. I mean, nothing too flashy, but, again, pretty consistent. And, certainly he'll get greater tests down the road. And I think the Colts really believe that, basically in New York, he had very little supporting cast, particularly at the pass-catching part. And the Colts feel like they've provided, more of that around him. And I think they're optimistic he can at least provide steadier waters than they've gotten at the quarterback position here over the last couple of years.
Let's talk about the pass catchers, Kevin. Obviously, adding Tyler Warren into the group and A.D. Mitchell makes that, I think, more intriguing than it was prior. How have they looked?
Yeah, well, I mean, Warren is, certainly an extremely decorated tight end at the collegiate level, and I thought he, flashed a bit, during the spring, and, I think unlike a lot of, maybe first-year tight ends, I think the expectation should be for him to, I don't want to say it's going to be Brock Bowers-like as a rookie, but, there is, I think, a reason to have high expectations for him, and, seemingly has made a spring transition, pretty well here to the NFL. Wideout-wise, again, Michael Pittman Jr., Alec Pierce, and Josh Downs are all back. The staff seems to be pleased with A.D. Mitchell's second-year development. Where he factors into consistent playing time, I think is a little wait and see, but it's a good problem to have. I think, Jags fans that have, watched or followed the Colts lately, their wideout group has not been one that has made you, stay up at night. Sure, Alec Pierce can catch a home run ball, but, it's not the most fearful group. I do think it's probably the best the Colts have felt about their wideout group in a while, and I understand where that optimism comes from.
We are joined by Kevin Bowen. He's the host of the morning show, 107.5 The Fan. We're taking a look around the AFC South today and tomorrow just to get a little glimpse of what's been going on in some of the other camps. Kevin, when we're talking about that secondary, that's been a big concern here in Jacksonville, too, after kind of what happened last year. But you guys added a Cam Bynum, Ward added to that secondary. So how has that looked so far in camp that you guys have seen?
Yeah, I mean, some heavy investments. I mean, we're not used to Colts spending a whole lot in free agency, let alone as much as they did for those two. And I thought that was a pretty weak group under Gus Bradley. New defensive coordinator, Louis Anarumo, they're going to play a little bit more aggressive on the back end. So if you're going to leave some guys on islands, you got to have guys that you trust. So, Ward got up to full speed this week, so we didn't get to see a lot of him in the spring. But they expect him to, play a bit of a shadow role. And what does that look like? Does it look like, they face Jacksonville and Brian Thomas is cooking them like he did last year? Do they try to, implement a shadow role there, or Nico Collins or Puka Nacua or DK Metcalf, some of these other wideouts? Ward, for those unfamiliar kind of with his story, had a very tumultuous season last year in San Francisco, mostly, for off-the-field reasons. And he feels like he just needed a total change of scenery. So, boom, here he is in Indianapolis, and we'll see if he can get back to that all-pro player that he has been. And he has tons, and Bino has a little bit, but he has tons of playoff experience. And the Colts don't have much of that on their roster, so I think that was another attractive aspect of signing him.
Kevin, has it been a little odd since the passing of Jim Irsay?
Yeah, I mean, in one way it has. I mean, Jim is he will light up a room, and he is certainly outside of Jerry Jones, I would say probably one of the louder owners in the NFL. Now, having said that, the day-to-day appearances at the complex, I mean, he was not making those here over the last X amount of years. Carly Ursay-Gordon, his oldest daughter, has really been the one running, again, more the day-to-day show, certainly from the business side. And now she will take over, and it'll be interesting to watch it unfold. I mean, Jim was a very emotional individual, and I think at times, maybe some decision-making came more from heart than head, whereas I think, again, Carly will probably be a reverse of that, a little bit more business-focused and a little bit more results-oriented in her approach. But it's definitely a new era, and the Colts lost a Titan who oftentimes, went to bat for them on a very grand NFL level, and I think really was key. And, the early years of the Colts, they really struggled when they moved here from Baltimore. But, obviously the draft pick of Peyton Manning speaks for itself, but I think Jim himself earned a lot of respect around the league, and just, how passionate he was about the NFL and the Shield, and, what, the Houses and the Rooneys and the Hunts and the Maras and those names meant to him. But, it's going to be in the daughter's hands. And again, Carly could have some huge decisions on her hands really this first year, depending on how she views Chris Ballard and Shane Steichen and Anthony Richardson.
All right, Kevin, before we let you go, I have to ask you, Pacers up 2-1 now in the series. How you feeling?
Yeah, I think they get it done. I thought after game one it would be Pacers in 6. I just think the gut-wrenching, soul-crushing nature to that game one loss, they've done that now virtually in every series here this postseason. I think it counts more than one. I think last night, you obviously saw the Thunder in great position going to the fourth quarter. They're up 5, and the Pacers were able to put them into a clutch game, and the Pacers have thrived in those situations, and the Thunder really haven't been in many of them this year. And I just think you saw, a team that wore down, frankly, a little bit and made some very uncharacteristic plays on the stretch, and the Pacers were outstanding in closing that game. So, it's just a wild story, from the historic comebacks to even being in the finals as a 4 seed. You don't really see Cinderella very much in the NBA. It's probably a little unfair to call the Pacers Cinderella, but when you summarize it from an NBA sense, they kind of are that. And they've been a heavy, heavy underdog. I mean, hell, they're still a heavy underdog tomorrow night. I saw they're like a 6.5 point underdog for game 4. So, I will go Pacers in 6, and I really don't think that is, in-market homerism influencing that.
I love it. I kind of felt the same way after that game one, the way that it ended. Sometimes that just draws the life out of the other team, and it kind of felt like it has, especially the way that last night ended too. But Kevin, we really appreciate your time, and enjoy the rest of the Pacers OKC series.
You bet, guys. Thanks for having me, and have a great summer.
Thank you.
All right, let's say hello to Joe C.
Now, the 2-minute drill. Serviced by Cool Cats Heating and Cooling. Locally owned and operated. We're your neighbors. CoolCatsJacks.com.
The coolest cats in town.
Joe, I know you were out at practice, but I'm assuming you've also been locked into some U.S. Open today.
I was watching some of this earlier, and this is what happens. We had Brian Katrick on yesterday, who's part of the U.S. Open covers that we're enjoying, and he said it's just going to be tough. They're going to bleed, all this kind of stuff, and we're like, these guys always figure out a way to figure it out. And 4 under shouldn't shock anybody. The slogan still fits. These guys are good. They are.
That is true.
We'll see where it goes. Weather-wise, they're talking about Saturday may make it a little bit tougher, but still, it's a give and take week. You feel like you've conquered something. In the case of J.J. Spawn, who's up by a shot, he'll come out tomorrow. He's trying to make a cut for the first time at the U.S. Open. He's never made the cut, so we'll see where it goes from here. But that's what it is you're just in a heavyweight fight with the golf.
And J.J. Spawn said after the players, like, I don't even know my own ceiling. So it's cool to see him shoot a 66 in the opening round.
We talk about here for the Players' Championship, a lot of times those morning golfers kind of have the advantage a lot of times. Is it like that opposite at this course?
Well, it's the draw is most important with the weather forecast. It's not always the morning on Thursday and then the afternoon on Friday. It's just depending on the weather. And so it could flip real quick where guys that go out either this afternoon, have to go back out tomorrow, could have it different weather-wise. So it's really kind of a coin flip, but there's no question they get to feel what the golf course is like, and then they can watch these guys and gain a little intel on what they're going to do tomorrow. But right now, I don't really think there's been a whole heck of a lot of wind or weather.
Yeah.
But Catrick did say they thought Saturday was going to be at least challenging.
Yeah, I've seen that as well. For people who don't know, Rory McIlroy, Bryson DeChambeau in the clubhouse. DeChambeau in the 3 over, Rory at 4 over. So not great rounds for those two, but
I just
they have
did a
some more
little
to go.
work, and I didn't realize that both of them were over par.
Yeah.
Holy
Yep.
crap.
Both in the clubhouse over par. What are y'all doing today?
It's so funny. Leon has a SI cover from 1995, 30 years ago, where it says Miami should just give up football. So we'll have a little bit of fun with that today. And JJ quickly pointed out SI was gone before the University of Miami was gone. And so anyway, we'll get into that. Jack Kaiser, Notre Dame, had a conversation with him today. So
He almost had an interception today.
Yeah.
Almost. And then he dropped it.
And then he dropped it. And he fell to the
These
ground.
big guys, we've had a couple hit their hands. They need to pull them in. And
They have. And so it's just good competition on that side of the ball. Everyone wants to see this defense play better. He's one of the guys I think I've named either him or Ogba change agents, which is what they need to be. And we'll figure out if they can do it. But anyway, a conversation with him, and then obviously we'll track down what's going on at Oakmont.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks, Joe.
All right. Thank you.
That'll do it for us. Of course, U.S. Open update on the other side. For Taylor Dahl, for the vacationing me O'Brien, for RJ Saunders, I'm Lauren Brooks. These heels are made for talking. We will talk to you tomorrow on a Feel Good Friday. But don't go anywhere. XL Primetime is next.